and then it'll be recording red. There you go. All right, that works. Seems to be working. And if you two can put on these, I can help you out there if you need to. Patch it on. Take this off. This looks like you just escaped from a. Yes, it's going to be my Zoom. I have to start it over here. So give me 1 second. Yeah, Ryan.online/Zoom. All right. Put it in the corner. No, you're fine. We're going to do this. And put this here. Okay, so this is just going to run. And okay, so that's going to be cool there. All right, I think you're good. Ladies and gentlemen, Stefani is out of here. Give her a round of applause. It should be on now. Everybody meet Tom Andriola.
Hey, how's everyone doing tonight? Thank you for being here. Excited for tacos. I guess I'm supposed to hold down the fort for a little bit while Ryan's doing a little bit of tech fixing. So we want to, hey Ryan, can I kick us off and say a few words? Yeah. All right, I'm supposed to say a few words. So first of all, welcome. I mean, most of you hopefully know about the Ant Center. You're taking advantage of it while you're here at UCI. This is also co-sponsored by The Hub. The Hub is a technology platform, a host of technologies. You're going to hear about one of them today, but it's here for you to get access to for free for you guys to use, whether it's part of a class, whether you want to kind of train up and say, hey, I learned AWS, I'm a certified cloud architect while I was here at UCI. It's here for you all. It doesn't cost you anything. You can play in the environment, you can train in the environment, you want to get certified, send me the bill, the university will take care of it, you're already paying enough for your education. The whole idea while you're here, and I had this opportunity when I was your age a very, very long time ago, was I had a chance to go to school and learn some things, but as importantly, I got a chance to put them into practice and work on real world problems. And so I had real skills when I went out and started looking for that first job, which I'll tell you is always the toughest one. After that, it's smooth sailing. The first one's always the toughest one. So the question that I asked myself when I got to UCI was, how can we help our students be ready for the workplace? You're gonna have a diploma, we know that. But the people out there who are gonna wanna hire you wanna know that you can help them with the problems that they have. And they're going to ask, what kind of skills do you have? What kind of problems have you worked on? What kind of tools do you know how to use? And the whole idea around the Hub was, we already use these tools here at the university. We just said to those companies, and you're going to hear from AWS as one of the examples, hey, we're paying you for those technologies. Make them available to our students. There's 37,000 of them here who are hungry to not just have a great time here, but then go do what they're going to do next. We want them to have access to these technologies too. And that's how the Hub got started. We found a great partner in the Entrepreneur Center, a place where we know you all come hang out to also build skills to get ready for your career. So it created a great partnership. Ryan gave us a little space over there, and so we created a physical space for the Hub. The Hub's about software, right? So you don't really need a place. But you kind of do need a place, because at the end of the day, it's about human beings connecting with each other, cool places to hang out. You've got whiteboards over there that you can draw on. Sorry, I screwed up the picture. I started drawing on the whiteboard. I didn't realize it was on. And then also, you've got, you'll see me on it a little bit later, you've got some desks you can sit at if you want to stand. You could do a little bit of walking on the treadmill. I actually do a little kind of interviews while I'm on the treadmill. It's kind of cool to watch. And then just enjoy yourselves. If you want, always watch for the experiential learning program. Follow us on Instagram. We try to post new opportunities with places on campus, but also places off campus where people want you to come work and help solve their problems. the technologies you can get in the hub, the opportunities you can get through the experiential learning program. So with that, Ryan, I'm going to turn it back over. You want me to turn it right over to them? Okay, all right. So part of the hub is the technology partners who are working with us. We invite them to come also here to talk to you, and not to give a demo of their software, but to talk about a little bit about like the companies that they work for, the kind of like clients that they work with, but also how their careers developed. Because what you'll find is that we've all traveled a different path in terms of how we built our careers and opportunities that we had and people that influenced us. And there's no better way to kind of learn what's ahead of us than to talk to people who've already walked that road. Okay, and so I'm going to turn over to my colleagues here to introduce themselves. Sure. We're going to, let you break it down however you want to. Ryan, how much time are we giving them in total?
However much time he needs.
But we got to have a hook.
Well, you're the only thing
all night long.
between
No.
them and tacos.
So then tacos. So
Yep.
just be mindful of that we have, kind of college kids who are drawn by food. They don't want to listen to people forever. So keep it short, keep it quick. There'll be time for questions and answers afterwards. Yeah.
And I will say, this is an info session, which means this is a high level of what's happening, but literally we have a hub dedicated with students that are in there that you can come in and spend time and dive deep into not only this platform partner, but other platform partners. So we want to get you excited at a high level to help that understanding. How many people are familiar with AWS? Okay, how many people would like to learn more about using AWS credits, understanding the cloud, and all things that come with it? All right, you have your audience. This is your man right here. Put your hands together for Mr. Ed Caldo.
Thank you. I got it. You guys hear me okay? Can they hear me out there?
Yep, we
Okay,
got there.
good. All right, cool. So I'm Ed Cadell. I am what's called an account manager, which is really pretty descriptive. I have accounts, I manage them, and I'm part of the University of California team. This should say, because there really is only one University of California, right? It's UCI, right? Wow, okay. All right, so you guys said you know AWS. Does anyone know what the A is? Come on, somebody, there are prizes. Okay, I guess we're done. Somebody's got to know what the A in AWS is.
We already got it out here, Ed.
And what did they say?
Ed Amazon.
Thank you very much. Wow. Are you guys just the shy group and all the fun people are out there? Is that what's going on here? Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. All right. So listen, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk a little bit about Amazon. I work for AWS. This is Mike Glover, my colleague. He's actually the more technically and smarter guy in the room, so we're going to try and get to him a little bit quicker than not. But what I'm going to talk about is about Amazon as a company, what we do, and what opportunities there are for people that are trying to get something to do that makes money when they get out of college. At least some money. You got to buy, pay rent and all that good stuff, right? When you get out. I know I did. And I might tell you a little bit about how I got here. But that could be a pretty long story. I've been around for a little while. And what opportunities you have, kind of as Tom was talking to, while you're here at UCI, potentially bring yourself to a place where you can be better positioned to get one of those jobs. Because the first job is always the hardest job. I don't know if they still do. They used to have commercials where there's kids sitting out of college and they said, I'm a fast learner to the hiring person. And, we all said that, right? What we want to do is try and help you not just be a fast learner. We want you to be able to talk about, hey, I've done this, I've actually built practical applications or supported actual business need. Does that make sense? Does that sound like a good thing to talk about? Okay. If you guys just sit there, I'm going to, kind of go on and on and on about whatever I feel like. All right, so first and foremost, if I not break things, my mouse over here. Hang on. Okay, nope, I got it. I just need to figure out which button to push. So this is the mission of Amazon across all of our businesses. We're trying to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. Doing. I don't need a mouse. Right here.
Give him a round of applause. This is going to be good. Round of applause. This is Ed. This is AWS. This is how we do it. We're scrappy.
Right. Thank you. So, clearly I need to turn notifications off. But anyway, the net of this is what we're trying to do across all of our businesses. And I'm going to try and explain some of the ways that we're doing that. We certainly are
We're projecting this screen and you.
a for-profit. Okay, can you see me over here? All right.
Yes, we're good. We'll figure this out. You go.
All right, just point me and move me. So the reason that we do that, we certainly are for-profit, but we have a very, very strong commitment to the planet that we live on and the people who live on it with us. So from sustainability to the way we do business and the types of things we give back. So these are some of the businesses that we're in. They're not by any stretch of the imagination all of them. And the reason I didn't want to just talk about AWS is AWS is a very narrow slice of Amazon. So let me ask a couple questions here. How many computer science majors do we have in the room? Okay, a bunch. Okay, good. How many engineers do we have in the room? Okay, great, great. Do we have business folks in the room? Perfect, okay. You're going to like what Mike's going to show. He's actually going to talk about some things that actually cross all of those disciplines and help you build a resume, get a job, and help whatever organization you go to work for thrive, all right? So some of the businesses we have here, you probably recognize the one up in the top left. How many of you people have ever gotten an Amazon package? Seriously? Ray, come on, be proud. You've gotten an Amazon package. I know you have. So we do a lot of our development, and this is the genesis of where AWS came from. AWS computing supports all of those packages going all over the world and getting there within 1 or 2 days. I actually had the amazing experience of getting an Amazon package the same day. It was crazy. It was boom, unbelievable. Have you ever been into an Amazon Fresh, our grocery? It's beautiful. Never seen better food in my life, and it's really easy to get in and out. It was so easy, I didn't know how to do it. The guy was laughing at me. He was, dude, get your app out. Just come in. It's okay. Crazy stuff. And then, of course, we have the bookstores. So these are some of the businesses that we run, and these are some of the opportunities you have to interact with Amazon. And one of the ways to do that is, as Tom said, get in here, get certified, at least become a cloud practitioner so you can learn what's in the box. And there are other things. So if you're a computer science person or maybe an engineer, you might want to become a solutions architect like Mike and know how all this stuff works and how to string it together and how to build things, because we are a company of builders, to help businesses or organizations thrive, to do things like be able to deliver a package on 2 days. One of the other things that we did innovatively that spawned AWS is, you know what Prime Day is? Has anybody ever shopped on Prime Day? Come on, you can do it. It's okay. All right, so Prime Day, for those that don't know, is when we have discounts across the board on everything that gets sold on Amazon. And guess what happens to our traffic at Amazon on Prime Day? Anybody have an idea? It goes way up. It's crazy. 2, 3, 5, 10 times. And we have all this compute trying to support our logistics, and that compute has to scale and then scale back, right? 80% of the unicorns out there run on AWS. Does everybody know what a unicorn is? Anybody not know what a unicorn is? Okay, so unicorn is one of those companies that starts out really small and just blows and goes crazy and everybody uses it. Once upon a time, we were a unicorn. Back when Jeff Bezos was sitting in his garage, his desk was a door. All of our desks at Amazon are doors, seriously. And he was selling books. So 80% of unicorns run on AWS. Does anybody play games? Video games? Anybody play League of Legends? Really? No one? Interesting. All right. My son plays League of Legends. All of League of Legends runs on AWS. Okay, so this is how we do it. This is the secret sauce. I told you we were really focused on our customers. These are the things that we live by. People even talk in full sentences only using these words. It's crazy. It's a cultural thing. And the top left one, customer obsession, is the thing that we go after the most. That is the most important thing to us. We're always trying to make the experience better for a customer. That's one of the reasons we have a process we do, and I'm not going to go through all of these, called working backwards. So the building Mike and I just came out of on the 3rd floor, you get off the elevator, and I have a picture of it, not in this deck, but it says backwards, backwards. Because we always want to remember, we work backwards from a customer problem. So one of the problems that I once heard that we had at UCI, how is registering for classes? Is it good? Is it fun? Okay, how many people would prefer it was a little bit easier? Okay, so we had a WebReg hackathon a year ago, and I saw that, so it was an easy question for me to ask. So what we do is we look at things like that, and we figure out how we can make that better for students. Now, how many people think they should have to register for a class? Okay, how many people think they shouldn't? I don't. And I'll tell you why. Because we know your major, we know your general requirements, we know your major requirements, and we know the classes you took. So why don't I just make one for you? Get you to graduate on time and then let you modify it if you so choose. You take a semester off? Great. That's what working backwards is about. So here's an example. So today we've got a lot of people in urban areas, not LA, not Orange County, but like New York, Seattle, San Francisco. Busy, busy, busy people. Guys, as my story is, guy or gals walking down 6th Avenue in Manhattan, they're going to a customer, they're going to do a $500 million investment deal. And they've been working all morning, haven't had anything to eat. They got to stop in a bodega. They want to get a bottle of water, get one of those packaged sandwiches and some chips. Do you know what a pain in the neck that is for a person that's in a hurry trying to do this big deal? They got to find the stuff, they got to check out. Hopefully their card will read. Maybe the person behind the counter is not good at communicating with them. They're pulling their hair out. So we tried to solve this problem, and we talked about using card readers and all kinds of other stuff. The actual result was Amazon Go. Just walk out. Don't pay. Don't talk to anybody. Get your stuff. Get out of there. It's the coolest thing in the world. It's just hard to believe this even works. And that's the type of thing that we do when we're trying to obsess about customers, is try to make things as easy as possible, okay? So that's the mindset we've got and we're going after. So here's a little bit of AWS factoid stuff. So this is Jeff Bezos, right? So this is a few years ago, but since we started AWS in 2006, read that top line. When we innovate within AWS and Amazon and we figure out a way to do things less expensively, we pass that on to our customers. That's why they love us. One of the reasons, right? We have a bunch of services. I was going to throw a slide up there with all the services. You guys wouldn't be able to read it anyway, but there's a bunch of them. It does all kinds of things. We've got compute, we've got storage, we've got blockchains, and just anything you would ever need to put together an application. And we bring on millions of customers every single month because we have the most robust network with a bunch of resiliency, meaning if something breaks, we've always got something else that will just pick right up, okay? We have these things called availability zones, which makes that happen. And the key thing with an availability zone is lots and lots of cloud vendors are out there and lots of cloud vendors tout this stuff. The reality is ours are a minimum of 60 miles apart and they're completely independent. So when one goes down, all of the rest of them tend to stay up. There would have to be an extremely catastrophic event to take down an entire region for AWS, okay? It's one of our key things. And as you can see, we've got a lot of coverage, which is why global companies use AWS. So what we've talked about is AWS. We have lots of services. You can get trained right here on becoming a cloud practitioner, which is the base level. You can get trained on being a solutions architect. You can become a database administrator and architect. There are lots and lots of different classes out there. And you can do that while you're in school in your free time, okay? So, quit watching YouTube, go take a class, right? So the reality is, though, it gets bigger than this. It's not just do this so you can get a job at AWS. It's do this so you can get a job at one of the Amazon businesses, any of them, because every one of them needs cloud architects, solutions architects, and so forth. The underpinning of all of our businesses are AWS technology, okay? So now I've taken you from here's AWS where I might want to get a job after college and maybe an internship to wow, I could actually look at Amazon anywhere in the world. And the reason this slide is up is in addition to that, any of these companies are going to hire Amazon or AWS cloud architects. Any one of them. So if you have this skill, this is the footprint that's available to you. And this is just in the financial services. These are the automotive companies. I'm not going to go through every single industry, but do you recognize any of them? And who recognizes them? You should have every hand up here. There's at least one up there. I know you know. All right? And these are our healthcare and life sciences customers. Okay? So if you are somebody that's in biology and you're not a computer science person, getting that cloud training can be applicable and helpful to you, because it's a heck of a lot better, to pick your favorite, to go to Moderna and actually know how to do things within a cloud platform than if you don't, because this is the way the future is going. Today, I would have difficulty graduating from college without doing that training. Back when I did, we didn't have any of this stuff, okay? So take advantage of it, because Tom has made that available to you. All right, so Delta Airlines, in order to get people on planes and handle things that, like, you're sitting in Atlanta, the worst airport in the world, or the most trafficked airport in the world. Sorry, it's not the worst. But what happens there? Flights get delayed. It starts snowing in Minnesota or Salt Lake City. Planes stop running. What we do is help refactor or rebook you on the next best flight. If your luggage is lost, what we're doing in the background is making sure we know where it is and help them get that luggage to you. So these are the types of things that you can do, and the companies that you can do them for with this, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to unplug this. I'm going to give this to Mike, and I'll talk for a half a second while he's plugging in. As soon as this thing comes up, I'll be quiet. But what Mike's going to do is walk you through what we're doing in generative AI. Does anyone know what generative AI is? Seriously? Okay. She's laughing. She knows everybody in the room knows what that is, right? They teach you that here at UCI, generative AI. Have you heard of Zot GPT? No one. Tom, you failed. All right. So Mike's going to talk a little bit about what we're doing at AWS and generative AI and why you should care about AWS generative AI as opposed to maybe some of the other ones that are out there. Mike?
Can you guys hear me? Is that good outside? Yeah? All right. Hi, I'm Mike. I'm a solutions architect here at AWS, and I've been working here at AWS for about 2 years now, but my journey actually started, well, my career actually started taking off a little bit more when I was working at UCI Medical Center. So I didn't have the privilege of actually attending here, going to college here, but I did have the privilege, and one of my favorite parts of my career was actually working for UCI as a company. So I worked there for about 10 years, started out probably as one of the lowest levels you can on like the help desk special services type of IT role, and then realized that I've been playing around with software since I was 14. I love writing software. I love software engineering, love crafting, I love the art. So I started writing software at UCI, and then basically what ended up happening was I realized that I needed an education so that I didn't run into any obstacles, right? So I went ahead, I didn't attend UCI, but I ended up getting a software engineering degree from a different university, and then ended up transitioning. I worked at UCI for about 10 years at the medical center, and grew my career there. It was great, but in the process, I ended up taking advantage of a lot of the training opportunities that was absolutely astounded to hear that Tom is offering you guys, because it's priceless. And for you guys to be able to get in and get access not only to the training, but the ability to actually get in and get hands-on, which is for a lot of people very difficult, right? So you have to have a credit card, you have to sign up an AWS account, and you have to actually try to do this stuff on your own. But if he's offering you that, I would definitely take advantage of it. But yeah, just started taking some training courses and realizing that the cloud was the next phase of pretty much everybody's careers, right, in IT. It was inevitable. So the organization I was working for at the time, UC Irvine Health, not a lot of people were getting into it when I started getting into it. So I decided that me and my team were gonna, try to blaze the trail inside the organization and get certified. So we ended up getting a couple certifications. The organization itself didn't, at the time, want to start moving workloads to the cloud, because it's a pretty heavy lift for an organization to transform their organization to leverage the cloud for all of their production workloads, especially a healthcare organization. It's quite scary. But ultimately, what that ended up doing for me by getting certified and gaining the confidence to be able to speak to cloud architecture was I actually started not only working with people that like are solutions architects like myself now, but also just networking. Obviously, networking is probably one of the most powerful things you can do is going to social events, talking to other people, especially as you get the education to learn how to speak about technology and the cloud. But from there, I ended up moving to Children's Hospital Orange County as a cloud architect, my first actual cloud architecture role. And then from there, I had already built some relationships with some folks at AWS, and they ended up taking notice to the things I was working on and all the projects that I was working on. And then, lo and behold, I'm at AWS now. So I'm now a senior solutions architect at AWS. And like I said, I've been here about 2 years, and I love it. Some of the best times I've had in my career were at UCI, but being able to actually work at AWS and come talk to students like yourselves, and also work with my customers on actually building and architecting things. I can't believe they pay me to do this. It's unreal. That's more or less my journey on how I've gotten here. So today I was going to go in depth in a lot of these slides, but I definitely don't want to bore you with some of this stuff and prevent you from eating. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically touch on a little bit about kind of how we do AI and machine learning. I'm not going to touch on a lot of the core services, but they all pretty much work the same way. We have a virtualization platform, and you guys, some of you may know EC2 and some of those core services. But today I'm really going to cover kind of more of our core in the AI and machine learning space. So I do have a chart that's going to go into some of the services, but I'll try to keep it brief. And then I'll go through and kind of tell you guys about some of the use cases that we're using in the education space specifically. So AWS's vision is essentially, when we approach this stuff, is that we want to see a world where education is always available, so accessible to anybody. And it's amazing the things that the universities are already doing to get this access to you guys. And personalized, right? So not only just content that you consume, but also your educational path itself, right? Personalizing that educational path so it's a lot easier to access, and also custom built for you as a learner, right? Because everybody's different. And then obviously lifelong for every person, because even me, I'm pretty well established in my career. I'm not super old, but I'm also not young. And I'm still having to learn every day, right? Because when we stop learning, we become stagnant and not growing, right? So we want to make sure that the content you're consuming and educational material you have access to is available and meets you where you are on your educational journey. So this is a flywheel that essentially goes over how machine learning is helping empower the educational innovation. And so the top right is, this is basically like a feedback loop, right? Everything is kind of feeding into the next phase of the process and then back so that the actual process can learn from itself. So marketing and recruiting, this is kind of more at the institutional level, but the application process as you're coming on board as a student. So marketing and recruiting, admissions and enrollment is part of it. The learning content and personalization, that's kind of some of my favorite stuff that's going on in this space, is really customizing course content as well as the enrollment process to you, the learner. And then follows around the student path of the student success and retention, and then further accelerating research and development, especially in the healthcare and life sciences spaces. And then continual improvement, bringing all of the analytics and data that we get out of this process back into the beginning and starting all over again. So Ed was mentioning that he wasn't going to put up an eye chart of all the services we have. Well, I am. There's a lot on here. There's a lot going on. But fundamentally, what this is all of the AI and ML services to date that we offer, and it's organized in a specific way, which I'll describe in just a second. So the bottom, it's organized in more or less a stack, but the sections here at the bottom is essentially what we cover in our core compute section of the stack of ML frameworks and infrastructure. So you see you have access to direct frameworks that you generate and develop machine learning models like PyTorch, Apache MXNet, TensorFlow. And Amazon EC2 is our core compute service. It's our virtualization platform, right? So you can go in there, spin up a VM, Linux, Windows, anything like that, and you can actually start building models. CPUs and GPUs is basically just saying that you have direct access to the hardware at this level, right? You can build anything for any purpose in the machine learning space. And then AWS Inferentia and Trainium, the only reason those are on there is those are two specific silicon chips that we've developed internally. So we actually we started developing and manufacturing our own CPUs and hardware so that we could actually meet the demands of our customers when they need it, right? Because the GPU market right now is saturated. A lot of times they're hard to get. So we started building our own chips to be able to allow our customers to get not only lower cost, but also higher performance for infrastructure that we have. And then the ML services above that is essentially an abstraction on top of that, right? Everything else runs on that core infrastructure layer. The ML services like Bedrock, which I'm going to get into a little bit more in just a bit, is our newest offering for generative AI, right? It gives you direct access, easy access via just simply calling an API into interacting with large language models and foundation models. And then there's Amazon SageMaker, which is a whole suite, I won't go into that, of giving you access to Jupyter notebooks and being able to write Python code to be able to develop your machine learning models. The one thing I want to, in this layer, call out, which I have a link at the end of the slide deck, is actually it's kind of in the lower right there. It's called Studio Lab. So SageMaker Studio Lab is actually a product to where, if you want to access any of these services, you do have to sign up for an AWS account. But if you want to just get access to a Jupyter notebook and start training a model and learn how to interact with hardware, SageMaker Studio Lab is completely free. You get about 8 hours of compute time a month, and there's no credit card required. So I wanted to call that out specifically because it's amazing for students to just get started learning, right? There's no cost to you at all. And then up here in the AI services section these are all services, similar to Bedrock where you're just interacting with it via API, but these are all purpose-built services to do specific functions, right? So you have taking text and translating it into other languages, right? We have Comprehend, we have speech synthesis services. Amazon Polly is more of a text-to-speech. And then we have other things like chatbot services, and one of them I want to call up there in the code and DevOps section is Code Whisperer. So if you are a software engineer and you're writing code, that's one of those services that is more like a code companion to where you're no longer having to write all of those different control structures, the looping logic, the ifs and everything like that. You can actually start more commenting and it'll start generating code for you to accelerating your development process, right? I've been writing software professionally, probably about 15, but into software about 20, 25 years. And I can remember just how hard it was all the way to today, and most of the IDEs that you write code in today are very helpful. They have completions and stuff like that. But this is next level, and I was apprehensive at first because I was kind of a very passionate programmer, and I didn't want anything to write my code for me. But you start to realize when you get out there and you start working that your function as a software engineer is to provide value to your company, right? It's not to actually, well, it is to write the code, but it's the way you write the code and how fast you write the code and how accurately you write the code that matters, right? And providing the business software solution that you're providing to your business. So I started adopting this and I found that it accelerated what I did for my company so much faster, right? And obviously you're going to be putting eyes on it. You're going to be actually checking the code, but it's a service that actually helps you. There's a couple different services out there like that, but that's our offering. It's called Code Whisperer. Let me go on. So generative AI specifically, innovation can transform universities. So it's important to note that so actually raise a hand, how many people have heard of generative AI or large language models or ChatGPT or, okay, a few more hands go up. So fundamentally, if you've interacted with any of those large language model or any of the GPT services or generative AI, what powers those is a large language model. It's what it's called, right? It's or a foundation model, if you've ever heard that term. And it's not magic. It seems like magic. Actually, a lot of times when I even interact with it, it seems like magic what it's doing. But whether you're generating content or you're asking questions about a bunch of data or summarizing or whatever it is, it can do that because these models are trained on essentially the entire internet's worth of data. And I don't think anybody in this room, I certainly can't comprehend the volume of data that is, right? It can do that because it contains a large number of parameters that make it capable of learning the complex concepts, right? So the parameters in some of the models that are out there right now are in like, even the smaller ones are in like the 7 to 13 billion range, all the way up to the hundreds of billions of parameters that these things are. You have a question?
Yeah. Does Amazon offer open source LLMs?
So
If we have a question, either use this or restate it as part of it. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the question was, does Amazon offer any type of open source LLMs or generative AI models? The open source, Amazon doesn't offer them explicitly, right? We actually have one that we've trained to, again, offer our customers the capability of consuming and using a large language model via our API like Bedrock. We train that so we can give our customers low-cost access to large language models. But what we've done, actually, and I think I get to it in a couple slides, so I'll actually touch on this more, but what we've done is we've actually partnered with people in the industry to enable access to host those open source models that are available on our platform to be able to leverage them and not just use what we have provided you. So yeah, we don't offer them like us, but we provide you access to them through a different service, which is the SageMaker service. So yeah, I hope that helps. Actually, and Hugging Face is if anybody's ever heard of it. Okay. Hugging Face is the open source ecosystem we've partnered with, and we've developed mechanisms to accelerate deployment of Hugging Face models on our platform. So that's what I'm referring to, yeah. So anyway, yeah, so these large language models can be applied to a ton of different contexts, right? Like they're generalized, they've been trained on billions of parameters, and that's why they can answer pretty much any question you throw at them with a fair bit of accuracy, right? But what's really cool, the really large generalized ones, that's really exciting, but what's even more exciting that our customers are getting excited about is how easily on AWS you can actually customize those large language models. So you can actually take these models have been trained for like years and cost millions of dollars to make, right? Some of these larger ones that maybe you guys have interacted with. But what you can do is we enable you to actually take those large language models and create a copy of them and customize them with even a small set of data to modify how the model thinks in your favor, right? Against data that you know that's domain specific for your company, so forth and so on. So that's another really exciting part of this ecosystem. But what could go wrong, right? So they're amazing, they answer great questions, they're smarter than any human. They passed the bar exam, I think. You know, I'm pretty sure some of those models have. But there are things that go wrong, right? You may have seen it in the news. But some of the things that happen are hallucinations, which in a sense is you ask it a question and it responds with data that's not technically factual, right? It's either out of line or not true fact, and it'll kind of make up and fill in the gaps, but you get a really nice natural language response. So always be cognizant of that if you ever use these to generate content. Is, you know, fact check, especially if it's specific data that you're trying to generate that matters. Biases, these are really tough, right? Because the data has been trained on the internet. And so, you know, the companies that we work with to provide the models that you access on AWS, one of the key components is that they're building in, you know, the ethical AI model where when you ask it a question and the way that it responds is in a manner that tries to course correct these types of actions. But you can see here, you know, generate me a picture of a person cleaning. In a lot of cases, it still generates a picture of a woman, which is an extreme bias today, right? So we don't want models to be out there being used in production settings, generating content for settings like healthcare and education that are applying these biases. But it's a work in progress, and every model manufacturer is working on this. Copyright and IP, this is also something you've probably heard of, which is, you know, the images, especially if you're using like an image generator, the images are out there on the public domain, right? And so if an artist has created a specific piece of work, there's copyright assigned to that image online, right? But it's still open for the public to freely consume. Well, these models don't exactly adhere to copyright. So they're generating, or they're consuming all these images, and they're being leveraged to actually learn the technique and the design of that image so that you can leverage it and regenerate an image like it, right? So I can go on to some of these image generators and say, generate me a an open field with a man and a woman having a picnic, right, in the open sun. But do it with the style of, I don't know, making it up, Michelangelo, right? And it'll actually put the Michelangelo's flair on that generated image. But Michelangelo didn't paint that image, right? And I don't think today Michelangelo would care, but the people that own that copyright would, right? So that's the important thing. And here there's an example of how Getty is suing the creators of Stable Diffusion, which is a manufacturer of one of the image generation models, text to image, alleging the improper use of its photos. So there's all kinds of lawsuits all over, especially in the writers guilds and all the other things. Like this is a real thing that's being figured out. And then of course security and privacy. You can see there Samsung engineers accidentally released a bunch of their source code by accidentally putting it into ChatGPT for debugging purposes. There are models out there that actually use what you put into it and the content that it generates to actually feed it back into the model to train it to make it even better, right? And that's one of the founding principles that we work off of is that we don't do that. Anything you put into the models on Amazon, it's only to generate the content, you get it back, and the content stays yours, and we never feed it back into the models to retrain them. Also, if you fine-tune one of our models, we actually create a copy of that model and put it into your account, and we never use the data that actually is used to fine-tune that model. And so AWS's generative AI strategy is really just to offer flexibility to our customers, your choice of model. We're not trying to lock you into a specific foundation model, but really get you access to the models you need to also drive down costs, but also give you the ability to pick the model that's right for the job, right? So you wouldn't, I tried to come up with an analogy for this, but really like it's almost like locking you into one model is like almost like using Google Maps to try to figure out how to get right down the sidewalk down there, right? Like, so you don't generally always need the biggest and the best model to actually, for the job you're trying to do. So we like to do that and then provide you an easy way to build foundation models and also providing you with generative AI powered solutions that you don't even have to write code for. This is generally our generative AI stack. We like to think of it as a stack basically for, kind of a similar grouping as the previous slide where we've got the infrastructure for training, we've got the tools to help you build with the generative AI models on Bedrock, which is our service that offers LLMs, and then the applications that leverage those foundation models, that's like the application space that we're trying to just build to provide you easy access to the functionality. So some pretty interesting things about AWS is that we're already working with hundreds of academic institutions like yourselves to provide and build and train and deploy large language models and generative AI for specific use cases in education. The student journey is a big one, but we've also seen some really, really cool value out of even like the back office stuff, right? And things that are going on behind the scenes with registration processes and everything else that goes on inside of an academic institution. There's also the really cool things happening in the library space, accelerating research. And one of the specific POCs that I heard about was in the athletics space, right? So being able to analyze video data for athletics and being able to actually generate summarizations about an athlete to make sure that, based on their performance in that role, that they're in the right spot on the team. Not only that, but also pairing that with the course curriculum that they've enrolled in and making sure that they're in the most optimized set of classes to make them perform not only on the field, but off the field, right? So there's really, really cool things happening in the educational space and also the athletic space. I won't read the entire thing, but just some simple examples like scaffolding text for students with ADHD. This comes along the same vein of like the personalization side, right? So every single student has very specific needs, and being able to kind of generate the right content for your course curriculum based on your needs is huge. Translating instructional content is another one, right? So even if you have a native language that is maybe not offered by the educational institution, you can use generative AI for that as well. Career pathways, linking student interests and major career goals to recommended course content. Maybe you don't exactly know where you want to go or what courses you want to take, but being able to just specify your interests and your concerns with your career path, you can make recommendations in that way. And then also toxic course content, maybe even things like, you're taking a bunch of courses and you need to line this up, but maybe historically speaking, the institution has data that could elude and let you know that, hey, these two courses together may not be a good idea for the load you have right now, setting you up for success. So these are all just a bunch of different case studies that we have going on right now, as well as a financial aid tracking system that lets you gain visibility and access immediately into your entire financial aid path, because obviously college costs money. So, real quick, how are we doing on time? Are we doing okay? Wrap it up? Okay. Okay. Perfect, perfect. So I'll just go really quickly through the actual, this Bedrock is essentially if you want to interact with generative AI on our platform, Bedrock is it. We offer a bunch of different models from partners, and then you can see that we have the Titan model, but all the other ones are there as well. You don't really have to use just one model. And this is the slide I was talking about, the question about open source. On a SageMaker Jumpstart, if you were going to get in and learn that, is essentially where we offer an ecosystem of models, including, I think the center column there is where Hugging Face exists. And then this just talks about how you can privately customize your models using very, very limited data sets. Really interesting stuff to be able to transform a model and actually have a large language model learn more from your specific data. And then actually, I'll skip this stuff because this is not important. Analytical graphs, agents for Bedrock, pretty cool if you get into it. Multi-step actions with asking a single question and be able to perform multiple actions for you, which I have an interactive slide here that kind of just is relevant because you can see the single university student assistant agent. You ask a single question and you can actually perform actions like actually registering for classes automatically, searching course catalogs, and it can perform multiple things against multiple data sources on the back end. Responsible use of AI, I mentioned that. Everything we do is in accordance with the White House and UN and even the Department of Education's ethical AI practices. And then some of the tools that we're doing to back that up technically. And what I really wanted to get to, actually, I was going to mention this, but Tom already has an amazing package for you guys to get out there and learn, but Amazon also is enabling you through Udacity and other things. If you guys are interested, we can also find out more information about that for actual educational course content. And then the link to Studio Lab, that's the URL. If you guys wanted to jot that down, that's the free access to a Jupyter Notebook, no credit card required, 8 hours of access to GPU and CPU-based training. Party Rock is amazing. Has anybody heard of Party Rock? No. Yes, you have, Ed, of course. Party Rock is basically a way that you can actually go on and create these, we call them apps, but you can share them, you can remix them with others, but essentially what it lets you do, actually, sorry, I've got a bunch of slides, but I'm not going to go through them. Party Rock is basically a Bedrock playground. Again, it's free, publicly available. You can essentially go through, and what this tool does, if you take anything away from this, is it lets you start actually interacting with the large language models, different models that we access, or that we have available to you, so you can learn how each of the models reacts and responds to your different prompts that you're trying to create, right? So you can actually create an image generator little app or whatever, and multi-step, and share it with a friend, and they can go and use it and interact with it. So it's a really fun playground. You should do it. I have actually, no, I don't need to show that. That's fine. It's a commercial. It's the commercial for Party Rock. We'll just skip over that. And then,
Run that while they're eating.
yeah, yeah, that's true. We can do that. And then that's just a QR code to Party Rock itself. Sorry, the last thing I want to mention is Deep Racer. So there is actually an event happening, if I'm allowed to plug this. It's here at UCI. There's actually a Deep Racer. Deep Racer is basically an AI/ML machine learning service that teaches you how to teaches you reinforcement learning, right, from the ground up. It's a 16th scale. I don't want to call it an RC car because there's no remote control. It's actually powered by a machine learning model. It's an autonomous little vehicle that you can actually come. We're bringing the physical track to the campus, and we're going to run an event here the weekend of the March 9th and 10th. We'll be here with the physical track. There's going to be a workshop, I believe, but it's like a 2-day event. And if you come and attend, we'll teach you how to actually train the model. It's really straightforward, very easy Python code. You've literally no skills needed to learn this. And I have personal testimonies from coworkers that are now SREs working at Disney that say they actually got into their role learning Python for Deep Racer event. So it's like, it's pretty, to be determined?
Not yet. I'm going to determine that's the...
You want to hold it here?
We can do another one. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, really, really cool, fun, engaging. You learn it. You train a model online. All of the access to the training or machine learning resources we provide through workshop accounts. Sorry. It's really fun. You train a model. We end up putting it on the car physically in person, and you get to see your model train and react the autonomous vehicle around the track. So I wanted to make sure we got to that because that's super fun, especially for students. I love it. I think that's all I had. And then the Student Deep Racer League, I don't need to go into this, but we actually have a league for students. You can actually earn tuition grants if you actually get into this and train models and submit them to the competition. There's also a global racing league that ends up at reInvent, our conference, that, there's like $20,000 in prizes and stuff like that. It's crazy. It's cool. It's really fun. That's a video that we'll play maybe after we're eating. Thank you. That's it.
All right, round of applause.
Oh, and real quick, if you guys, honestly, any questions, don't hesitate. I know you guys are students here, but that is a direct QR code to my email. Shoot me questions if you guys have any questions at all, literally. You can ask me questions about how to get started, access to things, whatever you want. Yeah, feel free. I love helping with this stuff, so please, there's no dumb questions.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
So who thinks tuition grants are cool? I do. I'm a parent. My kids are going to college. Let's go get some. So here's one of the pledges that I'll make for you. If you guys get into getting, sorry, I'm in front of the QR code, the important stuff. If you guys get into some of the training that's available here, if you start using AWS, if you start using this, I'll bring people like Mike and Deep Racer events here every week if I have to, okay? I'm waiting for you. You're holding me up, okay? You get that? So please, if you have if you want to do it, do it. If you are not a computer science person and coding scares you, I stink at coding. I'm really bad. But we have this thing not only built into some of the Deep Racer things, but we have something called Code Whisperer that does it for you. It's really cool. It uses our generative AI. You say, write me some code that tracks the trajectory of a cannonball or something like that, and boom, it just does it. Okay? So don't be afraid of the technology. Come embrace it, and we will help you. The more you use it, the more we're here. All right?
We'll also be around for a little bit. If you guys actually have questions, just
Yeah,
come
you're
ask.
hanging out. We got plenty of questions you can ask them. Otherwise, give them all a round of applause. I want to hear you outside too. This is just the start. Now, you heard Ed say that he is really willing to step up and bring more. And by you showing up here today and you staying engaged and letting us know how you want to engage, that's how we'll do it. Now, the final word between you and the tacos, I'm going to give it to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Tom Andriola. Raise your applause for this man right here.
Great. Yeah, it's going to be really short. Okay, first of all, I want to thank AWS for coming and making the presentations, supporting the event. It's amazing to watch the phones come out when the QR codes go out. It's kind of a cultural phenomenon. I'm going to show you one more. This is going to be on the table. You don't have to do it now, but you can learn all about AWS through this QR code, but all the other software technology partners that we're working with at the hub. There are others just like it doing different things, but you heard some great things about what AWS is bringing. We've said it. I'll say it one more time. It's here for you. Take advantage of it. Do something with it. It's all about you at the end of the day, okay? Thank you, Ryan and the Entrepreneur Center for putting us on. I'm not keeping you anymore. The outside crowd got a little bit of jump on you, but please go out and enjoy the food. Meet some new friends. Take advantage of the people that are here, and thank you for coming tonight.
Let's have a selfie with Tom. And let's go on the other side here. On the counter.
Well,
Peek in there. Old person selfie. Peek in. We don't see you on that corner. You got to get in. Oh, there you are. Okay, uno, dos, tres. All right.
All right.
Thank you. Make your way outside. We'll have kind of complete chaos.